Greetings and peace. I would like to do today's presentation on systematic inequity and the burden of identity, a global reflection on racial disparity. This is a presentation that I wanted to do for a while, and myself that comes from an indigenous background, and of course with my roots in Pakistan as well. I talk about my perspective of dealing with these different challenges growing up in America. Again, I represent myself only, and this presentation is only for nonprofit, entertainment, and education purposes. Thank you. The name of this presentation is Systematic Inequity and the Burden of Identity, a global reflection on racial disparity. Now, as we begin, I realized that in this country, I was unequal from the start. The historical context is that disparities between white and non-white lives are rooted in historical colonization, racism, and systematic bias. What is the purpose? This presentation explores the burden placed on non-white populations across identity, opportunity, and cultural representation. Now, this is a world which is built unequally. The colonial legacy, racial hierarchies created to justify domination and exploitation, resource extraction. The wealth of the global north was built from labor and resources stolen from the global south. Institutional design, Western norms embedded as global standards, marginalizing all others. But now we see a reverse as the power of the world is shifting back to the east and global south, and anything to do with white supremacy is on its way out in the age of chaos timeline from 2020 to 2029, and we're seeing that right before our eyes. The reality of twice as hard, half the reward. The labor disparity, where non-whites must exceed performance norms to receive equal treatment. Bias in hiring and promotion. Resume studies show ethnic names receive fewer callbacks, as I've experienced the same myself. Invisible workload, emotional labor from code switching and conforming to white norms. And for the Pakistani community, it's quite unfortunate as we have it much worse compared to other racial groups, where we only can work at gas stations, 7-Elevens, drive our own independent vehicles with taxis and Ubers, open our own business, or the only other job you're going to get is if you have a fellow brown person who owns a business, and only he or she will hire you and give you an opportunity. No one else. Even if you see a lot of these, let's say someone becomes a professional or gets educated, even at the end of the day, I see the lawyers and the dentists and doctors, they end up opening their own private practices. So at the end, it just comes down to opening your own business or doing your own self-employed work to be able to survive, because no one else is going to hire you or allow you to be included in their system. So I would say Pakistanis and the Asian groups probably have it the worst in America in terms of gainful employment. You have displacement in opportunity and space, segregated cities, redlining and zoning policies confined non-whites to under-resourced areas, unequal services, where schools, hospitals, and infrastructure vary drastically by race, and the modern gentrification, where communities of color displaced for profit, and all of this is happening now as we speak, in all cases and circumstances. The hostility in professional environments, the everyday racism, the microaggressions undermine confidence and belonging. Underrepresentation, people of color rarely seen in leadership roles. Sabotage and tokenism, success met with backlash or symbolic promotion. Even as myself, who experienced the different initiatic paths, such as Freemasonry, I realized it's all Eastern knowledge, and of course the gatekeepers are there, and the haters who watch my every move, but yet I keep doing my thing and shitting on them with my accomplishments. And this thing here, it has its origins in the East. The symbolism and philosophy drawn from Sufism, Egypt, India, and ancient Persia. and the cultural erasure, right, of original spiritual contributors who are rarely acknowledged, and the exclusion in practice that Muslim and non-white members face invisible barriers. So it's not even about being regular and recognized, right? Whether you're mainstream or Prince Hall, at the end of the day, they're going to see you how they see you, and they're never going to accept you. So it's best to be independent and do your own thing, like how I'm doing it. And that's exactly how it is. You could confine and conform, right? And be a good little dog, but at the end of the day, that's not going to get you nowhere. A book I recommend is The Iceman Inheritance. And if you look at the historical psychology, we see the environmental factor and hypotheses that harsh ice age conditions shaped aggressive survivalist behavior in early Europeans, and the contrasting civilizations, how they were warlike versus cooperative cultural traits that Eastern people had, and their legacy of aggression and the theorized roots of Western dominance and exclusion. And I have done a video presentation on The Iceman Inheritance, which is on my channel, and I recommend you read that book also. If you look at Hollywood symbolism, it kind of shows you the truth, right? Hollywood is the occult, and their job is to show you the truth, the inversion of divinity, how Lucifer or any devilish characters, whether it's the Constantine movie or the architect in the Matrix or the Lucifer TV show, you name it, right? The fair-skinned actors often play the devil role, the charming, charismatic, dangerous. And if you look at the Lucifer TV show, how God and Archangel Michael are depicted as black, and Bruce Almighty, Morgan Freeman, is depicted as God. The mother of the Matrix, the Oracle, is depicted as a black woman. So in many indie films, divine or prophetic figures are portrayed by black actors, and the symbolic subversion of racial coding manipulates viewer perceptions of morality and power. So even the Jews in Hollywood know the truth, and they're as evil as they are, they show you the truth in their movies in some way. Now, the burden of being non-white, the cultural displacement, the pressure to abandon heritage to be accepted, the daily emotional labor, the constant vigilance, self-monitoring, and overcompensating. Resilience versus trauma, the strength developed through struggle but at a great cost. And as a Muslim growing up in the post-9/11 world, I do know this very well. Now, the personal testimony from my indigenous and Pakistani experience is whenever I encounter white people, there's the prejudiced glances and the shared smirks, like when they walk by you, or let's say I'm sitting somewhere and they're walking past or whatever, right? Or even in gentrified neighborhoods one time where they love to jog and be outside. So anytime they went past me, right, they always have like this shared laugh or smirk with each other, right? Which is being the subject of inside jokes or subtle mockery by white individuals, which reeks of prejudice, right? Yeah, everything's a fucking joke to these animals. Unseen but felt, nonverbal acts of exclusion that feel intentional and piercing, and the alienation despite goodness. No matter how sincere or respectful, you're always treated as another. The real question is this world for us? As we see that, do black and brown lives really have any value in this world? Is this world just for the white people, by the white people, where no matter how good or sincere you are, that doesn't mean anything? No matter how talented or smart you are, that doesn't mean anything? We see brown lives being decimated. That doesn't mean anything. But all of that, if you place the white angle on it, right, it's all there. Like, the recognition is there. So what really just comes down to it is that the system of power and the change, that the diversity efforts often stop at optics. And what is belonging and assimilation is that inclusion must allow authenticity, not just silence and obedience, and a vision for justice, A future of equity requires radical empathy and structural transformation. This is the further reading that I recommend on this subject, including the Iceman inheritance, and I have done a video on that on my channel as well. And my safety mechanism, I don't know about other people, but my safety mechanism as a non-white individual is I make sure that my place of residence is in a non-white neighborhood with non-white neighbors, so I have that safety around me and within me. Number one. Number two, my workplace doesn't consist of them, since their microaggression tactics, they try to set you up or get you into trouble. So anything with your living, your working, just your day-to-day life, you have to keep that healthy boundary and distance from these people. They are who they are at the end. But when you encounter people, be nice, say hello, give everyone their due human rights. If you have no choice but to deal with them, such as work or school or whatever, just maintain those healthy boundaries, but at the same time, maintain that integrity around you that, it could just go down at any moment. Because I've seen it enough times for me to come to this conclusion. But yep, that's how it is. Thank you for witnessing and understanding this truth. And thank you for watching. If any questions or comments, please email me at salmansheikh911@gmail.com. All images used were retrieved from public domain searches and are the rightful property of their respective owners. The images used in this video are for the purpose of nonprofit awareness and education, which is protected by the copyright laws of fair use, education purpose. All my videos are for nonprofit and education purposes. Thank you. All rights reserved.